Thank you all for joining us. My name is Taylor Crosby. I'm the Director of Marketing here at JobTread, if I haven't met you yet. And today we will be discussing the new partnership between JobTread and Tradition Accounting and Bookkeeping. JobTread founder and CEO Eric Fortenberry is here, and he is joined by Christine Irizarry-Amoruso, who is the owner of Tradition Accounting and Bookkeeping. And she's going to share with you the benefits of our partnership, as well as some best practices around what she does and for your business. So feel free throughout this to utilize our Q&A tool here in Zoom. And if you have any questions, you can ask them there, and then we'll have some Q&A time at the end of their discussion. All right, Eric, take it away.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Taylor. I'm really excited to be here today with Christine. Christine has been a big JobTread fan for a long time, been working with numerous of our customers. And so, yeah, excited to have you on, Christine, and look forward to sharing your story with everyone.
Yeah,
for those
thank
of
you
you
so
who
much.
don't know, yeah, absolutely. So, for everyone who may not be a current JobTread user, which I think most people on here probably are, JobTread, it's an all-in-one construction management software. We built this for contractors and for builders to help you get organized, better manage your business, and hopefully increase your profits along the way. So we won't go into too much about JobTread. There are a couple key areas, sales and estimating that we can really help you with. The job management, project management, scheduling, all of that. The job finances, specifically, invoicing, your vendor management, your bill pay, all that, which we'll probably spend a lot more time talking about today. The accounting side of it here with Christine, and then we've got some other tools in there. But just wanted to kind of share that with everyone who's not currently familiar with JobTread. We're not going to go through all these features, anything like that. Today is more so about Christine and how she, as an accountant and a bookkeeper, has really helped others, and what she can potentially do for your business as well. And I think she's going to share some interesting things about herself, as well as the successes that she's seen with other people. One interesting fact that I did want to share real quick is Christine is actually a member. She's a part of the Association of Certified Fraud Examiners, which is where I did my one of my very first internships in college. Was at the headquarters in Austin, Texas. So we immediately hit that off together. Kind of having that bond when we met, I don't know, a few years ago. But yeah, Christine, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you, and we'll kind of run through your slides. And then I know we've got lots of questions from people, and I've got some more stuff we want to talk about after that.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here, and I'm even that much more excited
Christine,
to be a new marketplace partner. Just a little bit about me. I am the owner of Tradition Accounting and Bookkeeping. I started the company in 2017 after leaving a very vigorous corporate career by way of Manhattan and Connecticut. I am a forensic construction accountant. I've actually investigated construction fraud, embezzlement, kickback schemes for some of the real high-profile cases in New York. But my specialty has always been to focus on job costing for general contractors, subcontractors, and suppliers. I started my career even before I went into the accounting field, just as an accounting assistant, and over the last 2 decades, worked my way up to become a real estate controller for a very large company. I do have my master's degree in forensic accounting. I'm an FAU alumni, Florida Atlantic University. Currently certified fraud examiner, as Eric mentioned. I do have lots of accolades and memberships, and I'm very committed to my field and growing in this, construction real estate division. I'm constantly learning and do tons of continuing education, but I'm also a certified EDWOSB. That means I'm a federal contractor. I will have general contractors reach out to me that are bidding on municipal, state, local government contracts that sometimes require for them to partner with a woman-owned business. I'm also a minority woman business owner certified within the state of Florida and a certified subject matter expert in the field of construction fraud. And as I previously mentioned, I'm also a former real estate controller and my portfolio was $1 billion. Okay. So when I partnered with JobTread, I was looking for a solution for a current business that I work with. And one of the things that I realized they were having issues with was cash flow leaks. And I sought out a solution and said, you know what, they're using QuickBooks. They really don't understand QuickBooks. They have all of these costs. Everything's everywhere. There's paper all over the place. Basically, the left hand didn't know the right hand was clapping. So I was tasked with looking for a solution that can help them close that cash flow leak. And I came upon JobTread and I was like, wow, this thing is amazing. I love this software. And it basically gave me the opportunity to present to the client not only cash flow solutions, job cost solutions, paper retention solutions, change order solutions, timeline solutions. It had everything that I needed. And I said, you know what? I really need to present this to every single GC that I work with. And someone actually said to me, behind every good business is a great accountant. And I said, wow, you know what? That's actually really apropos for what I'm trying to do here in sending out the word of what JobTread does. So what I'm finding is that what a lot of contractors do is they're evaluating the leads, they're estimating the jobs, they're ordering all the materials, they're scheduling the labor, they deposit customer checks, they make all the deposits, but they have very minimal insight into what's going on financially within the business. They'll know it on a per job basis, but they won't know it in an overall financial company-wide picture. So what happens with that is it leaves the accounting to the very last minute, and business owners or managers, they're usually going to rush through it. They're just, for the sake of knowing what their numbers are, they do quick and dirty calculations. They have Excel, they're somewhat using QuickBooks, and they're like, you know what? I'm just going to get through this for the end of the month or the end of the project and see where I made money or if I didn't lose money. So there comes a point where they say, you know what? I'm burning through my cash. I really don't understand what my margins are. So I'm going to go hire someone. And now all the unloading of job costs becomes someone else's problem. And they kind of take a step back from job costing and expect that this person in this new role is going to give them all the answers that they seek. But sometimes it happens and sometimes it doesn't. So what I do is I'm now the consultant. I fill that gap. I fill the gap between the person that's doing everything for the company, that's preparing all of the jobs, and the operational person that is entering all the documents, doing all of the grunt work. I prepare it all, put it into a nice package, whatever your reporting requirements are, and then I present this to the business owner. And sometimes we'll talk monthly, weekly, quarterly, biannually. It depends on how often the business owner wants to speak with me. But what it does is it provides them the opportunity to ask questions that they may not be able to ask someone else, may not be able to ask their CPA, their tax preparer, their bookkeeper, because a lot of people don't really understand financials. So I've created a way that interprets the numbers, that takes the raw data and puts it into a conversion of a dashboard or a report or a graph into ways that help you understand what's going on with your job. So one of the things that I've also been finding is how important properly formatted financial statements are to help the business make decisions. Whether you have to hire people, fire people, scale down your work, take on new work. Do we have to add more money into advertising budget? What are our operating costs? Are we picking up our, overhead percentages into our margins? All of these questions can be found on a properly formatted financial statement. And I also conduct QuickBooks cleanup projects, which has been the bulk of the engagements that I've been handling for a lot of JobTread users. And I've seen a lot of JobTread users that were admitted into the seminar, so I'm super excited that they're still interested in learning more about me. But I have been able to completely 180 their books from what they were using into now understandable, easily reviewable documents that help them grow, increase margins, and just become a better business owner. I'll help train them. I'll train your staff. I'll train your bookkeepers. I'll work with you to help finding new talent, because you can evaluate anyone all you want, but there's technical questions that I can ask that usually help me know what their level of competency is. So just preparing all these workflow documents is, another tool that I can offer that streamlines your business operations.
Yeah, absolutely. We see a lot of people that come in and, we get asked all the time, well, can JobTread replace our QuickBooks? And it's just like, absolutely not. The goal of JobTread is to help you get organized and to give you better, job costing tools, make it easier for people out in the field, to be able to stay in touch with people in the back office. But, at the end of the day, it's very much very important that you do have, an accounting system behind JobTread, as well as, people that really understand, the bookkeeping that needs to go into, managing a construction business. And, we've seen just time and time again, a lot of times where people, end up kind of getting their books, a little bit messed up. And that's just, comes back to, making sure that you've got, either someone solid on staff who's got that background, or you've got, a bookkeeper or CPA or someone who is, involved to make sure that your books are set up from the beginning, as well as, being managed properly ongoing. And so, I think, Christine, that's one of the things that, we've heard from numerous people that you've been working with, that you're very good at helping get them set up for success. And then the ongoing maintenance, can often be a little bit less, burdensome when you've got all the processes and kind of all the data, properly set up from the get-go.
So the nuts and bolts. What exactly is job costing and what is it supposed to accomplish? This list is not all inclusive. This is just really high level of what job costing should do for you. So right off the bat, it's going to give you a detailed analysis of your cost by job type. So what that means is, how much did we spend in drywall? If you're a general GC, drywall, electrical, mechanicals, roofing, whatever it is, your financials should be able to break down where are we making money, where's the money coming from, and where's the money going to. Job costing is vitally important to controlling your budget. When you start a job, you send out bids, you ask your subs to say, hey, how much is it going to do to prepare this scope? Or, how much is the supply house going to charge you for fixtures and materials? So you're creating this budget and you now have committed costs. You have a look forward. You understand where your cash flow is coming from, how much money is on the street, where it's going. It gives you real-time data information on where you are as a snapshot at that job at any given time. You're capturing all of your costs when multiple people are spending. So obviously there's some people who are one-man shows, and then there's people who have lots of employees. All of your employees have charge cards or Home Depot cards or large bank cards. And so somebody needs to wrangle in all of those charges. And what it's doing is it's going to capture all of that data into your budget. And when it comes over into QuickBooks, you're going to make sure that you've captured all of those transactions. If there's something in QuickBooks that's still hanging out, that there's no match for it, then you're going to know that you have to hunt down that receipt so that you can capture that cost. Overhead costs are easily captured to determine accurate markups. That's definitely something a lot of the consulting contracts I've been engaged with neglect to add to their markups is overhead. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Properly formatted financials detail your income source by type, and they compare it to its corresponding COGS expense, COGS being cost of goods sold. When using class types in QuickBooks, you can quickly identify job types that are more or less profitable and accordingly divert your resources. When JobTread and QuickBooks Online is implemented correctly, you'll be able to have a forward-looking cash flow statement in real time. And this last one is actually very important because I think there's a miscommunication of what the tax person is doing for you. So correctly handled job costing has favorable tax advantage. So you need to remember, and this is Christine speaking, that your tax preparers are generalists. They don't focus on the details of your business. By the time your financials get to your tax person, the only thing they care about is their punch list. They're going to grab all of the numbers from your financials and prepare your tax return. They're not going to tell you if something is in the right category, if something needs to be moved out of profit and loss and put into balance sheet. They're not going to tell you your distributions, whether or not you put money into the company that was to pay for a project. If that's properly formatted, all they want to do is just tick and tie and move on. So these are just real high level what job costing should do to you when it's what do for you when it's set up properly. So a lot of people ask me about sales tax. So I understand that in this industry, we have sales tax, use tax, wholesale tax, no tax, capital improvement exemptions. So the one thing that we have to remember is that sales tax is state specific. I am well-versed in New York and Florida sales tax because that's where I have offices. I have no problem learning about sales tax in other states, but it's very specific. The calculations are specific, the rules are specific, and unfortunately, Wayfair, which was the large home improvement retailer, was taken to court and lost. And now all the sales tax reporting requirements are even more different based on your state, where you ship to, where you're working out of, where you're getting your materials from. So yes, I can help you with sales tax. However, I would recommend that you work with your local tax person to prepare your filings and to work with you on whether or not you're capturing your sales tax correctly. And that's where you can find me in the marketplace now.
Yeah, we're excited to have you in there now. So anyone who's interested in talking to Christine more about what she could do to help you with your business, and you can reach out to her through the marketplace there on JobTread. So yeah, I think we might have had some questions. We can kind of just open it up, and I know we had some people that might have wanted to ask some more technical questions. Let's see here. Where are we?
I just wanted to make one note that I noticed on one of the earlier slides of the flow chart of all the different things that JobTread does. The last bubble is QuickBooks Online. And one of the things that I realized with a lot of JobTread users who's reached out to me is they think that it's an automatic setup, right? So now that I got JobTread, they're thinking, okay, well, I have JobTread and I have QuickBooks, and everything's just going to flow fluidly between the two softwares, and then it doesn't. So I just want to put out there that you have to actually set up and implement QuickBooks to receive the data from JobTread. And that's where ultimately my added value comes in, because I know how to work both systems so that they speak to each other.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. I think we got someone raised his hand here. Steve, are you able to type your question into the chat? All right. So Robert there asks, I don't have a great bookkeeping solution. Do you provide complete bookkeeping services?
Yes, I do. But every person's situation is different. Our industry is very paper intensive. Somebody has to touch the paper, they have to cost code it, they have to assign it to a job, they have to assign it to a line item. And ultimately that should be you. You should be working with someone in your office or part-time that's going to be able to process all of that paperwork for you and be able to compile it in a way that, yes, I can do the bookkeeping or I can do the accounting for you, but just know that somebody has to cost code all of these documents so that they get into your budget correctly.
Awesome. Steve, I see you got your hand up there. Are you still able to see if you can type your question in? One other thing we get asked all the time, what do you recommend for people who are currently on QuickBooks Desktop, trying to decide if they want to switch over to QuickBooks Online or not? What are your thoughts on that? And how do you guide people in that regard?
Yeah, definitely. I was always hesitant to move away from QuickBooks Desktop because QuickBooks Online never really had a robust job cost functionality the same way Desktop does. But that's where JobTread fills the void. And I think when you implement both softwares and they work with each other, you no longer have to really worry about that lack of information that you're no longer getting being on desktop.
it's something too that I'll share. We've been told directly by Intuit that they're really trying to phase out QuickBooks Desktop, and they've put all of their resources, all of their investments, all the updates are coming to the QuickBooks Online, which is where obviously we've got a lot of features, a lot more features with the QuickBooks Online integration. I did want to share one very exciting new feature that we are in the midst of rolling out today, actually, is the ability to now have your QuickBooks vendor credits and your credit memos, as well as customer returns, and basically it's now going to keep those in sync between JobTread and QuickBooks Online. So it's been something that we've been asked for a long time about, hey, they're not coming over, or I need to credit, one way or another. And so we're in the final stages, I think, or it might have already been rolled out. But if that's something that you're interested in, keep an eye on the integrations tab within JobTread. You'll be able to enable that here shortly. So that will hopefully make a lot of people happy. I know dealing with the credits, and when they weren't coming into JobTread like the other bills, it creates a little bit more of that bookkeeping, challenge. And so now we're getting that all in sync, which, I think is going to be very helpful. And certainly the bookkeepers out there will appreciate that.
That's wonderful.
So we got a couple more questions. So Dan asked, do you have private coaching on office accounting structure?
I don't know what office accounting structure would really lead to.
I assume maybe it might be, kind of how do you structure an accounting team, possibly? Or
yeah, I mean, definitely. Again, these are all individualized, and it's a larger conversation. So yes, definitely.
Okay. Great. Yeah, Dan probably just may reach out to her directly on that. You can again submit more detailed question and schedule that one-on-one through the marketplace there. So Steve here said, so I'm a painting contractor, not a GC. One of my biggest input cost per job is the employee hours worked. I do have a QuickBooks Time subscription, but have yet to implement it. Do you have a solution for tracking employee hours and the job costing within JobTread? So yeah, we do, Steve. It's basically the time tracking feature within JobTread. So you can set that up and have your workers clock in, clock out. Whenever you approve those hours in JobTread, they're going to automatically push into the QuickBooks timesheet. So that's different than QuickBooks Time. The QuickBooks timesheet, you don't actually have to pay for that additional QuickBooks Time subscription. So, a lot of times people will end up, canceling that just to save money on it. There are some additional features that QuickBooks Time has that we're kind of looking at, continuing to add in there. But, for the most part, our goal is to provide you this all-in-one solution here. So certainly check out the time tracking that's available. Is Christine, anything you want to add about about kind of tracking time and labor and hours and all that?
Yeah, no, I had a conversation the other day with someone who we realized that they weren't adding other things like insurance and overtime into their labor rate. So they were actually shorting themselves on the bill back.
Interesting. We got another question here from Debbie. She said, when you have receipt from Lowe's, for example, do you break it down into plumbing, fixture, tools, etc. per job, or just leave it as materials?
Yeah, well, in order to get accurate job costing, to know where your dollars are going, I recommend breaking it out by division. Yes.
Awesome. Let's see here. We got so we got from Robert, thank you. I'm not big enough to hire a full-time higher profile accountant and have always been hesitant of hiring someone without a lot of training or shade tree accounting or a shade tree accountant. Is it better to find a local bookkeeper accountant or hire and train someone in-house? I literally send a picture of the check or receipt to the company that is currently keeping my books.
Mm-hmm. There's a couple ways you can answer this. Again, it's specific to you. If you have enough volume where you can afford to have someone in-house, or the volume of transactions is just so large that maybe it might make sense. But you also have to look at it from a dollars and cents perspective. Accounting is a necessary expenditure that should be budgeted for in every single business. And these are also overhead costs that you should be capturing in your markups on all of your jobs so that you can afford to have an accountant. But again, it depends on your circumstance and your situation, whether or not you want to have someone in-house or outsource it.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, we got another one. Can you explain the usefulness of class tracking?
Yes, I love classes. I think it's underutilized or it's used incorrectly. So what class tracking does, it tells you, so when you have a profit and loss statement, your profit and loss statement is going to tell you all of your income and all of your expenses and all of your SG&A, everything under the line. But what it doesn't tell you is where those dollars came from and where those dollars are going to. So by utilizing classes, you're able to determine what types of jobs, what division of jobs am I working on that's producing this money, or am I spending my money on? So you're able to have 40 classes in your QuickBooks subscription. And if you're a regular GC, you can break it out by remodels, kitchens, baths, basements, decks, siding, whatever it is that's going to give you the information you need to know where your money makers are and where your money drainers are. So maybe you can scale back, or maybe you can divert resources, or maybe something's not in line with, are we charging enough? Are we charging, too much, which is also a good problem to have. But you're able to get this detail of your profit and loss to make better business decisions for your company.
Yeah, absolutely. So it looks like Jose said dates are not matching between JobTread and QuickBooks Online. Is that something to be fixed later on? So Jose, we ought to take a look at that and see. That doesn't sound okay. Sounds like Travis said he's already on it. Also, do you recommend input bills, invoices, and expenses from JobTread or inside QuickBooks?
Oh, I love this question. So my rule of thumb is if it's a project cost and there's a budget for it in JobTread, everything should be going through JobTread, because then you get into the habit of going to JobTread, getting all of your information from JobTread, entering all of the data into JobTread, and then it'll push itself over into QuickBooks. The only thing that you should be entering into QuickBooks is anything non-job related or overhead. But it gives you the opportunity to develop this habit of always going to JobTread first. So this way, you know which line is going to go to. It's going to match to the feed into QuickBooks. It's a really good practice to stick with everything in JobTread.
I love it. It is something that, we get asked that a lot too. And, we have enabled the feature where it can, we can pull in expenses from QuickBooks, but, you get so much more detail, when you input it into JobTread and let it push over to QuickBooks versus when you go the other way, it can take some more work to kind of categorize it there. So, love it. So another one was, and maybe this kind of ties back to classes, why should people not create, like 1,000, general ledger accounts in QuickBooks?
Because it doesn't give you any qualitative data. When you run a report, or if you're like sending it to the bank, or you're trying to get a loan, or you want to sell the company, or you're looking for investors, or you have capital partners, somebody is going to look at your financial statements and they want to be able to just quickly determine what your margins are, what your markups are, where the dollars are going. And they don't want to have to sit there, add accounts together, look at it. It just becomes sloppy. It looks like you don't know how to do accounting, or the people you have working for you doesn't know how to do proper accounting. It's a bad reflection. It's just you have to figure out who's the reader, who's looking at this, and what kind of information are they getting from it.
Yeah. And so should you have different income and COGS accounts, or just have one of each?
Yeah, I love it. So all of the engagements I've taken on so far are just 2 accounts on their P&L, one for construction income and one for cost of goods sold. And I'm like, okay, well, could you tell me how much your overall subcontractor expense is? Well, I guess I have to pull all of the paper. Well, okay, you shouldn't have to. Well, could you tell me how much your field labor is, just looking at your COGS section? Well, no, because it all goes to cost of goods sold. These are really good questions that you should be asking yourself when you're looking at your financials and you're like, oh, like something is going to pop out immediately. Does my job supplies and materials income match with my job supplies and materials expense? Like, obviously your income should be more and your expense should be less. If they're close, you're not charging enough on the markup. So these are all like great information tools that when you separate your expenses and your different income sources, you'll be able to hone in on and say, wow, we need to cut back, or we need to, focus more on, or renegotiate, or rebid, or, go with new subs or suppliers.
Sure. Let's see. Bonnie here said, when I manually update payments in QuickBooks that originally did not sync, the payment post as an additional payment in JobTread. Sounds like, is that, I guess maybe the invoice wasn't created in JobTread. Not sure what exactly you're asking there, Bonnie. Have you run across anything like that, Christine?
No. Manually update your payments. I don't know why it wouldn't sync. Was it not pushed to QuickBooks, or maybe was it recorded as a payment already in JobTread? That's why it didn't sync over into QuickBooks.
Or maybe making sure that the payment accounts are set up correctly, in order for the payments to go over. But Bonnie, we can help take a look at that as well. Stephanie asked, what would be the first steps to creating classes?
Well, first you want to determine your useful information. What exactly do you want the classes to tell you? Then you would go into your QuickBooks and set up your classes. And when you set up classes, when you go back into JobTread and you create an invoice, you will now be able to see your class dropdown, where you can now pick your class dropdown in JobTread. And when it pushes into QuickBooks, it will push it into that class.
Yeah. So Jose asked, is it a good idea to attach receipts in QuickBooks Online, or is there no point to do that? Well, I will add that just a little sneak peek of a feature that will be coming out next with our QuickBooks Online integration is that we're looking at essentially being able to push and essentially pull any files that are attached to bills and invoices. We've had a lot of requests to be able to attach a copy of the receipt in JobTread and then have that push into QuickBooks. And so that's I know a few people have been really excited about that feature. And now that we're getting the credits out there and getting that project done, we're going to be moving on to being able to have those attachments sync between the two. So hopefully that answers your question, Jose. Dave, do you have a way to do monthly invoices in JobTread? I guess maybe talking about the recurring, like recurring monthly invoices for like a service type, like lawn care or pool service, something like that. Right now, you essentially can go in and just clone an invoice. That would be one way that you could do it. I've seen some people in their budget, if you're doing kind of a, weekly service, something like that, where they create a different group for each week and all the, if it's like, let's say it's pool service, like the chemicals that are used that week, and then they take that and we'll add it to an invoice. Let's see, Steve. So looking at your services listed through the marketplace, is there an order you recommend? Is it better to first work with you to set up the JobTread / QuickBooks integration, and then work on the job cost accounting? Also, do you often find there are QuickBooks cleanup work needed while these other services are being conducted? And if so, how is that handled?
Yeah, that's a great question. That's been, again, the bulk of my work is I'll get the call that says, hey, I need the implementation. And then I say, okay, let me go do some due diligence. And I look at the books and I'm like, well, first we're going to have to overhaul your QuickBooks before, because what happens is, it's that old adage, garbage in, garbage out. So you want to make sure that JobTread is going to flow into QuickBooks with correct data. And in order for that to happen, QuickBooks has to be set up correctly. And if it needs an overhaul, we got to reformat your QuickBooks before we go and do the implementation. So it's almost, sometimes it's like working backwards, but yes, we need to make sure that the template, that QuickBooks is ready to receive the information and then go and mirror that information into JobTread so that it will flow over. And then, yes, then the training of how to do the job costing. And just like as a side note, my cleanups and implementations take about 10 hours.
Awesome. Is there a, we had someone ask, so what's the, your process when working with a new client, but maybe also kind of shed some light on like, what's the ideal client for you that you feel like you're best suited, to come in and help? Because, obviously maybe everything is not every type of business or size of business might not be, a good fit for you, or, kind of where's your sweet spot, Christine?
Yeah, exactly. I'm really the consultant. I want to be able to take all of the knowledge that I've gained over all of the years of working and just impart it upon you to be able to take all of this information and run your business more effectively and efficiently. Ideally, it's the shoebox guy. It's the guy that keeps all the receipts in the shoe boxes, or it's the guy that, really is trying, that hired someone, but they're just not really doing it correctly. It's just making some small tweaks or some trainings to really bring them up to a great performance level. Or it's the company that has a lot of moving parts going on. One guy's doing one thing, another person's doing something else, but nobody really talks to each other and they're doing things vastly different. And it's also the person that's been told by their tax preparer that they need to go and get help.
Oh, absolutely. I see Dave had a follow-up. What do you charge for the 10 hours?
It depends. It depends.
Yeah. I can imagine really probably no two set of books is the same.
No.
But sometimes there could probably be some rabbit holes and go down past it, make it harder to flush that out without a conversation. Can you tell us some common issues that contractors run into when, with job costing?
Yeah, definitely. So we need to remember, I think what's lost in translation is that job costing is done on a micro level and it's done on a macro level. So on the macro level, how are we doing on an overall company-wide financial position of our project accounting? But on a micro level, it's okay, let's dissect that into our profit and loss by class to see how we're doing on a by division or a by job type level. And so, forgetting that you need to look at both pieces of their financial statements is important in job costing. Forgetting to add your insurance or overtime costs, forgetting to add your overhead into your markups when you're bidding your job. Because if you're not adding all of a percentage of all of those overheads, you're actually going to be losing money because you still have to come up with the money somehow in order to pay your rent, your utilities, your office staff, your general liability insurance, all the maintenance on your trucks. If you have a fleet of vehicles, all of these costs play a factor into the work that you're doing. So you need to make sure you're picking up that percentage. Not billing out change orders is the big one. I think a lot of GCs have been eating costs and not passing them through. I understand it's a per case, basis, but, by each customer, but forgetting to bill out change orders or eating the cost is a really, common problem. Not hiring or working with a qualified accountant. And as I mentioned before, accounting is a necessary business expense that should be budgeted for.
Awesome. Looks like Evan here. Do you ever have companies who choose to not sync JobTread with QuickBooks? If so, what are the reasons for doing so, and what benefits do they gain from that?
The only one I've ever gotten was a long time bookkeeper that really didn't understand QuickBooks and was hesitant to learn something new. So they dissuaded the JobTread user from integrating. But I think when used, jointly, I think they're both powerful tools.
Absolutely. Liliana, let's see, what is a good percentage of overhead to be added to the margin? Should we add 100% of our total overhead?
No, but something. Because a lot of times financial statements consist of one-offs, things that don't happen normally or regularly during the course of business. Or sometimes a lot of businesses will have personal expenses that are reimbursements back into the company. Sometimes there'll be a reimbursable accountable plan. So there's certain things you have to discern from your financial statements that get billed back and don't.
Awesome. All right. I think we've gotten through just about all these questions here. Yeah, I think we covered them all. Definitely appreciate your time here today, Christine. And I know you kind of just got a little rapid fire there, questions all over, but lots of good questions. We're always being asked, for people that we can recommend to kind of help get their books cleaned up, help them better understand what they need to do to set up the JobTread QuickBooks integrations. So we're always excited to recommend you. We know that you do great work. I've heard just nothing but great things from all the customers that you've worked with and help out. And so we appreciate what you're doing for JobTread and for the community as a whole. I know you also chime in on a lot of the JobTread Pros Facebook group, comments. There's a lot of things that again, we're from our standpoint, we're not accountants, we're not lawyers, and so it's always great to to have those in the community who can give that expert advice. We just try to provide the tool and help people kind of get it implemented. But yeah, really appreciate everything you've done, Christine, for the community. At JobTread Connect earlier this year, had a couple great presentations that were very insightful, had a lot of great feedback from that. So, anyone out there who's, looking for, someone to help them out, definitely reach out through the marketplace. I'm sure you might get a little bit backed up on all the people reaching out, but I don't know, maybe a couple weeks, a lot of coffee, a little sleep, and he'll be able to get through it. But yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in. We're just from a JobTread company standpoint, we have spent the last couple months getting moved into our new offices, so still ironing out a few last little things, getting construction finished up and, getting a few technical difficulties ironed out with our internet and phones and everything, getting all that ported over. But yeah, we're excited to get back to, doing more regular, programming like this and webinars. And yeah, so we're also starting to start the planning process for JobTread Connect, our annual user conference. Anna put out a poll in the Facebook group, I think it was earlier this week or last week, and kind of asked everybody again what months would work best. And overwhelmingly, again, it was beginning of the year, January, February timeframe. So looks like we're going to be able to lock in a date with the Westin Hotel, which is actually attached to our new office building. We're also maybe a little bit 10-15 minutes closer to both the airports, so that'll make travel in and out get easier, and working on negotiating some good room rates for everyone. But yeah, we're really excited to be moved into this new office. We hope everyone will be able to come out to JobTread Connect next year. We're also looking at starting to do some in-person, more kind of training workshops and things like that we now have the space to be able to to provide. So maybe we'll even do some focus, get some specific hands-on accounting, kind of getting JobTread set up, implementations. I'm sure the sky's the limit on what people would like to to be able to attend some workshops. But we're really excited to finally have been moved over here. I know I've been a little MIA on Facebook, and it's been quite a process moving an entire company of I think we're like 21 employees now. But we got it done. We're getting all the final things all set up, and hopefully you all didn't experience too much disruption from that. But in the next day or two, if the phones aren't working or something like that, that's why we literally just right before this webinar have the AT&T guy here unplugging our router and trying to get phones ported over. And so it's been a little bit of a business challenge to have that happen right before this. But everything worked out. Yeah, got a lot of exciting updates coming out for JobTread here in the next couple of weeks. One other little teaser I'll throw out there for everyone who's hung with us. We do have custom fields in the budget coming out, hopefully in the next, we'll just say end of next week or maybe the following week. Don't want to overpromise here, but we've got that finally coming out, which is going to be an awesome, way to be able to track, the status of particular cost items in your budget, or, SKUs, or, manufacturers, or, there's just a whole host of ways that you're going to be able to use these custom fields within the budget that I'm extremely excited about. A lot of people have been asking about that. You've always been able to have the custom fields on the cost items, but you had to click to open up the details pane. And now you're going to be able to add those columns right there into the budget, click to edit. It's going to be really slick. So super excited about that. And we've got some really exciting scheduling and task updates coming out in the next couple weeks as well. So, stay tuned. We'll have a lot of updates coming out here. And as usual, we'll have all of the trainings, try to always keep the help desk and videos up to date as well. But yeah, appreciate everyone tuning in today, and happy to field any questions offline, or if you want to get connected with anyone on our team, or with Christine. Again, we got a lot of different avenues. You know how to find us. So thank you all for attending, and yeah, we'll go ahead and call it a wrap. Thank you, Christine.
Thank you.